because we got a couple guys that could go another year, and nobody knows that now. You know, what I'm going to do with those guys is get them through the year, worry about that, and then, you know, see what's best for them. So it's a little, you can imagine how screwed up this is for us and roster management, but nobody in the NCAA or some of the media think that has nothing to do with anything, and it's sad because it's hard on them, it's hard on us, it's hard on everybody. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid on why it's such a good thing, but I think for the most part, the guys are in a good spot, and that's all I want them in now. I'll finish the season, and then we'll worry about the next part.
Speaking of the season, you talk a lot about when you play teams, how well they're playing, and now Ohio State's a team that's, you always thought they were probably better than what their record was showing, but now seems like they're kind of putting it together a little bit.
Yeah, they should have won 3 in a row, and you know, we played more teams with 4 and 5 game winning streaks than anybody in America. So good news is we're not ducking anybody. The bad news is you know you got to get up every game, and that's the way it is. So I'm looking forward to it. I think Chris has done a good job bringing them back. He got a lot of criticism and abuse, and I thought he did a good job early. You know, in this era where you got some really talented freshmen, and then you bring in some transfers, and you got some seniors that are back, it's hard to keep a locker room happy. And I don't know if that was any of it, but I think he's starting those freshmen now, and I think he's done a good job.
For you guys, having those veterans, I mean, Tyson, Joey, and Malik really have kind of improved. What have you seen from them over the course of the last maybe 3-4 weeks that's kind of allowed that?
Well, as you just said, I mean, if you talk to Joey and Tyson, I don't think they could have had better senior years. I mean, you know, Joey a little up and down there for a little bit, but his whole demeanor, I mean, he's growing miles as a person and as a player, mentally. And then physically, he might be the best shape of anybody on my team, and that's odd for a kid of that size. Tyson's right there with him, and he too talked about how much better this year feels than last year, and that's part of the whole situation too that everybody goes through. But Malik's the one that I think's gotten screwed a little bit, you know, because the injuries and then coming back and then injuries again. And really, he's a starter. I just didn't upset the apple cart, but he's every bit a starter as any one of those other 5 guys, and he is starting to play better. He's starting to practice better. You know, it was only a couple weeks ago that he started practicing every day, and now he's practiced every day. We saw how long it took Jaden to come back, so I'm proud of all 3 of them. I think they've all grown. I think they're better players than they were a year ago, except for Malik. Maybe you don't see it as much, but I see a lot, and I think he's got a lot of basketball ahead of him.
When you look at them as a class, Tom, it's not like necessarily a homegrown 3. Someone's each kind of got their own story and different deal, right? I mean, you kind of have to look at them.
They have, and you know, for Joey, I look at him being a transfer, but I said this early, I say it late. I thought Joey always wanted to be here, and I thought he always belonged here. You know? So he spent 4 years here and 3.5, whatever he spent here, and I'm happy to have him. I think it was someone I felt close to since probably the end of his sophomore year, beginning of his junior year of high school. You know, his family's been great, and I'm just really pleased with the year he's having, because he's been through it all too. And we go back to, you know, grieving about things, and we go back to how do people handle different situations. And I said COVID was not a great situation for him. It wasn't a great situation for Rocket. Everybody handles it differently, and it's really nice to see a guy come back. And then Tyson, it's been fun. You know, I remember at the beginning of the year him saying, "Oh man, I feel so much better than I did last year." Well, you know, that's being in the system for a year. That's the difference with maybe if you would sit out like some used to, where that creates a better situation. At the same time, he played some. He took advantage of the summer. He too is the best conditioned guy on my team, but he's starting now to make big shots. He can get a shot for himself. He's one of the best defenders. He might be one of the best all-around players in the league. You know, I thought he deserved Player of the Week last week. You know, but I think he too is going to have more basketball to play. but he's definitely got more here in the next couple of weeks. So excited about him. And Malik, it's been such a topsy-turvy. You know, he's been through the most, and yet the injury this year was tough. I mean, he had an incredible summer, and whether he comes back or not, and that decision will be made by him. But we'll all talk about, you know, what could have been. Does that mean if he leaves, he'd have a chance to play professionally? Maybe. Or would it benefit him to be back another year, you know? But he, too, is now playing his best basketball. If there's anything a coach wants to see, it's guys playing their best basketball when it matters the most. And all three of them got incredible families. You know, it's been a blessing for me to have them. Yeah, it's always frustrating at times to go through some things, but when you go through some things like Joey earlier, Tyson, you know, his first year, Malik, his ups and downs, but when you see him come out of it the way they have, rewarding for a coach, very rewarding.
Can you think of a class that